I'm Marie Casey. I've been here at Stony Hill probably 35 years. I grew up in Woodland Baptist Church, and that was where I was saved at a revival. I don't remember either about the sermon, but I really don't remember getting out of my pew and walking down to the front of the church. It was just like something led me down there, you know. And that was when W.C. Barham was there. He was there for years. He also was a preacher, a pastor here for a few years, not as long as he was in Woodland. And that was where my family went to church. Now, my grandparents never went to church, but I didn't know my dad's dad because he got killed in a cotton gin when I was 1 year old. And my step-grandfather, he never went to church that, you know, I ever remember. So, but I was raised in the church, and that was, you know, some fond memories. And then when I came here, like I said, probably 35 years ago, Mark Tilley was the pastor here, and he was just a dynamic personality that, you know, you could fit in with. He could fit in with the younger crowd and older crowd, because he was a hunter, and he would go hunting, and they always put him in the truck with my daddy. And my son, he, you know, led him to Christ, and so that was an awesome day, you know. And the memories here, probably my greatest influence was Noble Perry. He was just the kindest, gentlest person. I said if I ever heard anything about Noblin, I'd give up on the human race. But this church here was so family oriented. Well, I guess most churches back then, it was neighbors and family that was here. And I think Jimmy touched on a little bit about the eating dinner at homecoming on the grounds. I guess it was sawhorses we put and plywood down, and your family brought your whole meal. It was usually fried chicken, homemade biscuits, desserts, sides, you know, maybe weenies. I don't really know what all was brought, but they didn't just bring one or two little side dishes. They brought the whole meal. And we had singing, you know, after the church service. We'd have a lot of people come. We would stay here to 2 or 3 o'clock in the afternoon, and that was really good. And that brings another awesome memory here was the Woodland Quartet, which was L.T. Joyce and Gladys and Tom, and Gladys could, I mean not Gladys, but Joyce could make that piano sing. And Tom was a choir director, and Jimmy was Parrott was also. But for years they both, you know, did that. And it was just we just usually had singing. We had a choir, they had robes, and it was a fun time to have a special talent in the church, you know. And back then we didn't have nurseries, children's church. The kids stayed inside the church, and I became a nursery worker sometime when we did start having nurses. I worked with in the babies, and but I never taught Sunday school. That's and probably one of the things that I enjoy most is helping hands. That ministry, because I am a good cook. So I enjoy. It's getting harder, as the years go by, for me to keep standing on my feet and cooking like I did. But there was another memory. We used to have the preachers after church service to eat lunch with us or dinner at that time. Somebody would always invite them. Yeah. We didn't have restaurants back then to run to, so Mom got up and cooked a full meal, usually before we come to church service every Sunday. So, of course, she made it more special for when she knew the preacher was coming.
Is this when you had a regular preacher, or when you had a turnover visiting preacher?
Well, no, it was regular preachers that we had. Yeah.
And then just people took turns having the pastor over for lunch?
Well, I'm not sure how that happened.
Yeah, right.
I just know Mark Tilley showed up at our table quite a bit. So. And so that was.
That's a good memory.
That was a good memory. Mm-hmm. And so there's so many things that have changed nowadays to what it was when we grew up. It was a quieter time. Right. When you got out of church, you stood out and talked out in the grounds, because you didn't have all these things to go and do and rush to get to a soccer field or somewhere, with your kids or to eat, whatever. So that was I miss that. Even though we stand in the church sometimes and talk, but like I said, some of us are diabetics, and so we have to go down to eat lunch. So we don't stand around and talk like we used to. So and we used to get baptized in ponds around here. I did. And like I said, I was 13 years old when that happened, and I've always tried to live a good Christian life, because somebody's always watching, and it's not hard to me to do that. Even though, like I said, I never, taught Sunday school or, anything, or be speaker in the church or anything like that, or held as many jobs as some of them have, but, try to do things like doing the flowers in the church, things that I'm capable of doing. I try to take part. I went so many years when I worked that I didn't have time to do all that. But then, once I retired, I tried to be more involved. So.
Yeah. Well, those are all great memories. Those are all. I think you covered every question. Do you? The one that does stand out in my mind is if somebody were to ask you, either what stands out in your mind about Stony Hill, what's different about Stony Hill, and then also, if they were considering joining Stony Hill, what would you tell them?
Well, I think it's also the people in the church. They're friendly. Most of them will be there to help you if you need help. We have a children's church, and we have a youth minister, and we keep hoping, to keep building on that. And it's just a good family-oriented church with great people in it, Christian people in there.
Yeah. Okay.
And a great pastor. And a great family he has that we thoroughly enjoy.
Yeah. Well, we enjoy it here too very much. Great people.
The one thing that I'm missing down there is the choir.
Yeah.
I would love to, to get. We had such an awesome group that got up and sung Sunday. That I think there's a lot of talent in the church, and they're not being put to use.
Yeah.
And I can't sing. I just move my mouth. Make people think I'm singing. And I just think it's awesome that when God has given somebody that talent to be able to sing or to play the piano.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you very much for your time. Anything else that comes to mind about Stony Hill?
I can't think
You've
of.
done such a good job on this. I don't want you to.
Well, see, I didn't hear what Jimmy had to say, so
He
I
said
don't
the
know.
exact opposite of what you said. He just no, just kidding.
Yeah, it was there's a lot of things that you miss, from the old days.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a lot of things you don't miss. I don't miss that tobacco farm.